that how do you then scale these initiatives? Each one of us in this room, especially from the corporate sector, would have something you're proud of in terms of the difference you're making to society or environment or whatever. And some time back, I come from the information technology industry in India, as most of you know, and this is a $120 billion industry, primarily export oriented. All of us do something or the other in CSR. I mean, what I spoke to you about Zensar Foundation is probably replicated and massively multiplied if you talk about a Tata Consultancy Services or Infosys or a Wipro or any of our large corporations. And we got together as under our industry body called NASSCOM, and NASSCOM Foundation actually said, let's create 3 or 4 areas which can completely scale the quality of work we do. And I'm delighted to say that just 3 areas if you look at it. One is something that we celebrate every year called the NASSCOM Social Innovation Honors, where we look around the country, encourage people to apply, and people who are doing work in social innovation, work in livelihood, work in education, work in employability. In fact, just last week in the Grand Hyatt in Mumbai, we recognized 13 extraordinary entrepreneurs who are doing good work in this area. So that's recognition. The second is, we said we currently have close to 3.5 million young people, okay, working in our industry. And if you take those 3.5 million young people and then multiply by families, you probably got close to 10 million people who are all well-to-do, below the age of 30 or 32, and willing to contribute to society. And one of the things we said we'll do is that let's create what we call a volunteering program, which is managed on the internet. In fact, we have something called My Kartavya. Kartavya, for those of you who don't know Hindi, means my duty. And we said it is a my duty program to contribute back to society. I mean, out of the 3.5 million people, today we have 100,000 people, still small, but getting there, who are actually contributing to causes in their community, in their company, in their industry. So we're very excited about that, that look, at least we've got companies to work together, employees to work together, irrespective of company affiliations, and make that happen. The third thing we're doing, which is something we're very, very proud of, which is called the National Digital Literacy Mission. The mission is very simple. I mean, you have, out of the 1.2 trillion people we have in this country, we're saying, can we have an agenda for ourselves that at least one person in every family should be digitally literate? What does digitally literate means? It means that the ability to use a mobile phone, the ability to use a computer in a hole in the wall, and start doing good work for their families. We experimented with 3 villages. In fact, I'd like to recognize 2 or 3 NGO groups who have done extremely well. There's a Digital Empowerment Foundation run by a gentleman called Osama Manzar in Delhi, who actually took on the responsibility of providing this education. We got most of the multinationals who are in technology in this country, whether you look at an IBM or an Intel or a Google or any Microsoft, any of these people, all of them were doing some work in the area of education and employability. And we told these guys that, look, why don't we join forces and make something happen? We talked to the Ministry of Information Technology and got enormous support from them. Because not only were they willing to support this program, today there is a bill in Parliament, which hopefully will see the light of day at some point, which says that for every NGO which wants to pick up content that has been put on a portal by Intel or Microsoft or whoever, and do training in the villages in rural India to create that one person in every family being digitally literate, they're willing to pay a sum of money, reimburse the entire fee. One of our goals, and today there's enough, the beauty of this country is there's enough money available for programs like this. So it's not like you have to write a check. It's just that you have to get the community together and get a program that can be funded. So our own vision is that within the next 1 year, and we did some very successful pilots. I mean, there is one full village in Rajasthan in North India. There's one full village in Kerala, which is South India, and there's one other village coming up, where we are saying that, look, in the rural area, these villages are now fully digital literate. So apart from, if you remember, there was this national literacy program for just general literacy, but we are saying that digital literacy might change the world, change the face of this world. Last Friday, we were talking to the prime ministerial candidate of one of our big parties, Mr. Narendra Modi, and he was interacting with us on video conference, and we were explaining the National Digital Literacy Mission to him. His first response was that, look, let's create more outcomes. I mean, one of the outcomes he suggested to us is to reduce the dropout rate of school children. So many of you know, a lot of our young children are not staying in school till they finish their 10th or 12th, primarily because maybe of family pressures, because they themselves don't get the motivation to stay on in school. In fact, I was having breakfast with Kim, and she suggested that, look, the best way is not to mandate that they stay in school, but give them the excitement, the reasons for staying in school. Give them the ability to talk to their parents if they convince them to drop out of school. And Mr. Modi was suggesting the same thing, that look, one possible target for the National Digital Literacy Mission itself could be that if children stay on in school maybe 3 years longer than they are currently staying on, that might transform the society. One of our erstwhile most backward states in the country, which many of you may be aware of, Bihar, in the last 8 years of a new leader, has seen a complete change in its fortunes. I mean, it has been growing 8 to 10% every year. And I remember we had an interaction with the Chief Minister, Mr. Nitish Kumar, some time back, and we said, what is your biggest mission, sir? And his answer was very simple. He says, my mission is to ensure that every woman in this state goes to school and college. He said that if you do that, you will create one enlightened member in every family in this state, and they will take care of the men and take care of everything else. I'm sure all the women will agree with me that enlightened women are much more used to society than enlightened men, because we think men are enlightened anyway, though we're fooling ourselves. Okay? And this is interesting, right? So on one hand, we are saying that, look, we will look at children and make sure that they stay in school. On one hand, on the other hand, some of our leaders are saying, let's ensure that the homemaker in the family is completely literate. If you look at this, I mean, all these by themselves seem to be very small. But if you look at the family as a microcosm of society, if you look at every individual family and assuming there are, let's say, 200 million families in this country, can you imagine the enlightened woman and the child who is really ambitious, what they can do to society? Because all that we do in terms of preaching and talking, etc., will be delivered by activities on the ground. So you can make out I'm very excited about the National Digital Literacy Mission. And I think from NASSCOM Foundation, in fact, we had a Google Hangout session with Mr. Bhaskar Chatterjee and quite a few others. And I think we were completely aligned on the fact that things like this can change the country. So the only thing I'd like to conclude with is by saying that, look, doing CSR, if you're an individual, a foundation, or a corporate, is no longer a matter of choice. I think we should do it because it's our responsibility to society. Doing CSR enhances the reputation of the company, because if you look at many of the companies which are doing well today, groups like the Tatas or Blue Dart or so many others, I think they've built a reputation by having a heart, not just by making inordinate profits for their shareholders, because I think that's part of this. Doing CSR gives you enormous returns, and you should measure those returns. I mean, like I mentioned in our South Africa example, if you get better employees thanks to CSR, if you get a better reputation in society thanks to it, I think that is the real return. So never let it be said that, look, I will allocate some funds for CSR because we must do good for society. Enlightened self-interest, ladies and gentlemen, is all about saying that how can we measure it using the same tough yardsticks that we use for measuring employee performance, business performance, because at the end of the day, corporate social performance will make our corporate financial performance that much better. So I hope during this day, we'll have a lot of discussions, a lot of cases, and end of the day, we all learn something to make our country a better place. Thank you very much.